Today's class is week 6 of anim012 broadcast production. I'm sorry, the intro to Maya. My apology. Um, just give you guys a quick reminder that our first assignment, gamepad modeling assignment, will be due on Friday, 26th, this Friday, 11:59 p.m. Just want to get how are you guys doing with the assignment? I'm gonna make some time later this class to answer any question or any issues that any of you guys have regarding the assignment, so I can give you guys some feedback or provide you guys some support and help. Okay, so just be aware of that. I noticed that the you guys also have a intro the assignment 2 for anim012 is also due on this Friday on the same day. So I'm gonna be asking you guys a quick question. I once again I should be able to give you guys some extension on this very assignment here. Would you like to extend the due date to next Monday, not this Friday? Yeah, would you guys prefer that? Okay. So as for our please mute microphone. Much appreciate that. So I'm gonna give you guys extension on this assignment. So this will be due on March 1st. Okay, which will be next Monday. Okay. However, the your broadcast assignment, which is 3D logo creation, will have to be stay on the same day. Okay, which will be this Friday. Just be aware there will be assignment that coming in. So make sure you guys are fully aware what is due, what is not due, when it's due for all of your course. Okay. It may be actually serve you better if you make a separate document that kind of give you guys some overview, some calendar maybe, and add the due date so that you don't get to forget. You know what I mean? I am fairly sure at this point or near around the later part of the semester, you guys will have to deal with a multiple assignment. So sometimes you may be possibly falling on the same day. So just be fully aware that what's coming, so you can actually plan ahead. So you don't have to overwhelm with all the stuff that you have to do within a few days of the due date. So I really recommend you guys start early than later. Okay. Okay, so that being said, so I'm sure that the in previous week, make sure you guys watch the video that talk about adding the detail on the PS2 controller, and then all the way to the finishing it up. Okay, so this is the video that actually talk about the very last part of your the modeling assignment. So it's important for you guys to follow along and add all the necessary details and then finish up your assignment. Okay. There are some additional lessons that if you find it have some time, I recommend you guys check it out as well. We're talking about different modeling process. Okay, so that being said, I also, if you go into week 6 on eCentennial, I also post the completed version of a PS2 controller. If you actually click on this thing, you can actually see that preview version of that controller here. If you click on viewport display style button or icon, you can just also turn on the wireframe, so you can actually see how the topology is being done for this this PS controller. So you guys can actually use that as a reference. Okay. There's a lecture note for today's lesson. So having our first big modeling assignment or project is now completed. Now we are moving on to the next phase of modeling process. Well, the modeling process is completed, so now we are moving on to working on actually adding on shaders and adding a textures onto the surface, which means pretty much wrap around our 3D model with a texture map or adding a colors, give more life to our surface. Okay? And then in order for us to do it, we need to understand the very concept of UV mapping, which is one of the crucial step happening right after modeling process is completed. And this is also important stage and necessary stage for you, all of you, to do it in order to create a texture map, or adding a colors, or adding a details, and a lot of different texture map can be, in order for those texture map to be properly implemented into your 3D map, 3D mesh. You need to understand the concept of UV mapping and how to create a UV map from your mesh. Okay. I mean the UV, if you want my personal opinion, is when I first learning about UV, it always felt like some type of mythical concept that can be quite confusing. Um, it is it's many times when you will start working, being a beginning learning about Maya. There's a lot of things that are fairly new uh, to me when I was still learning it. So I didn't really understand it at the beginning. So I just did like what you call like automatic mapping, and then just kind of try to get it done as soon as possible, and try to deal with it during the actual texturing process. But that's actually just getting like only like 30% of UV mapping done. Um, and actual the proper UV mapping and is only possible if you want. I mean, if you want to have a perfect control of your UV mapping, you do need to understand this very concept of UV mapping. It is absolutely important, and if you want to create like a complete control, also create the most efficient way to create a texture map, and have the desirable look that you want. You actually have to go through this process. Okay. So I'm gonna give you guys bunch of exercise to actually work on it, and then we can actually I'll show you how I go about it from the very beginning, and then give you a number of different scenarios that you can actually tackle on it. The UV mapping is not like really like straightforward process. It's a lot of people using a different method. Also, there's no really right or wrong way to do a UV mapping. It's more of an organic process that you eventually have to, do, because it's all the UV mapping. Can be the process of doing UV mapping can be changed, can be very drastically different depending on the type of the mesh that you trying to create a UV map with. So it's more of organic process once again, and then just have to once again it's also the more of a kind of problem solving too. So once again, it's the best way to get good at it is try different models, and just get a more experience, and just try it out and then figure out pretty much. But yeah, I'll give you actual basic concept, basic rundown of what the UV map is and what the UVs are, and how to go about different projection style that you can actually try out. Okay. Okay. So let me quickly open up Maya here. Um, If you have not done so, as I stated on the note, if you want to follow along some of the exercise that we have along with the actual assignment that I will be assigning to you, make sure you guys download this project UV intro zip file, right? It contains the full project folder in it. So I suggest to download it and then unzip it and place it into any of your local drive and then use that as your project for today's lesson, and you can also use that for your assignment. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here first is before I actually show you any examples or to actually work with, let me quickly create a polygonal cube primitive object first, and then we can just start talking about the actual concept behind it. So I'm going to create this polygon model right here, cube, a simple cube like this. And you guys all know you can manipulate your polygonal cube by simply going into vertex mode and then just kind of moving around, right? And this is basic modeling 101. However, within that cube, every polygonal object that usually comes with its own UV map already built. Not ideal, but in most of cases you have to sometimes you have to modify it, you have to rebuild it, but it will always come with a UV map if you actually click any of select any of primitive object. How do we access the UV map and how can we see it? There are a number of ways you can actually access the UV editor, which is will give you the full overview of your UV map. You can actually go to UV and click on the UV editor to have that here. Or probably the easiest way to go about it is simply go to your workspace on the top right corner. If you see the mouse cursor, and just click on the drop down arrow and then go to UV editing. Click on it and you'll notice that your Maya is now give you the new overview. The left column, left side, split screen, give you the actual viewport that we all used to seeing it. And on your right side, this is the actual UV editor that you guys are seeing it. So let's just quickly turn off that check button. If it's on, I suggest to click it off quickly to kind of see that. Okay. So this is the 3D view of your polygonal object, and this is your UV map. Okay. So you can access the UV easily from the UV editor by right-click on top of the mesh and simply click on the UV. Now you notice that your vertex is now giving you the red dot every corner that you go. It's kind of similar. By beginning, in many cases, the UVs and the vertex of a polygon are overlapping at the exact same position. However, when you start moving it, even if you are actually moving UVs, it's not actually changing the shape of polygon, right? So just think of it this way. The polygonal vertex is for modeling in most of the case, and the UV that you're seeing is for projecting the textures and where we can actually position the textures by adjusting it. So before you actually apply any textures, so if you actually click on this one right here, so this kind of give you the quick overview by applying the automatic check textures on it automatically by default from Maya. You can see how the textures are being laid out here. So if you actually go into any of the UV here, like for example, I'm going to go back to UV here, and then select any of the vertex there, and they actually are corresponding that they're showing you the exactly same UV vertex that you see it on the corner. So and let me see, and you'll notice it right away if I start moving it. What's the big difference? If I actually move that, for example, to that side, you'll notice that your vertex stay same. Your mesh or shape does not change. However, whatever the texture map being projected on the shape is actually changing, right? As you actually move that vertex. Okay. So the UVs are, it's pretty much a two-dimensional texture coordinate that corresponds with the vertex information for your geometry. The UVs are vital and very important because they provide a link between a surface mesh and how an image texture get applied onto the surface. Okay, so they are basically marker point that control which pixels on the texture correspond to which vertex on the 3D mesh. To explain this better, if you actually go into the actual note of our the lecture note for UV fundamental, I actually kind of illustrate quickly how they can actually differentiate between vertex and UVs. Okay. So UVs essentially allow you to texture your object in 2D programs like Photoshop or 3D Paint, program like a Mudbox, Mari, Substance Painter. You know, these are the actually you guys will be learning Substance Painter as the primary software. It's more of an industry standard. The Mari is also as well, but Substance Painter is gaining quite a bit of traction these days. On our curriculum, we actually focus on this very software. There are various ways of texturing the object. The Photoshop used to be the old days I used to texture the map in Photoshop by painting on it using different photo editing, image editing manipulation tools, and just do the most of the texturing done in Photoshop. But these days it's not really used anymore that much because we have large collection of actual 3D texturing software that's available. Like I said here, Mudbox, Mari, Substance Painter, or even ZBrush. The Maya was not really known to be a great software for doing a UV unwrap, UV mapping process. So there was used to be like different third-party plugins that were actually allowed you to do all the texturing work separately. But since 2017, the process actually improved quite a the actual tools in Maya improved drastically. So since 2018, actually if you actually try it out, compared to other 3D software, Maya is fairly powerful in terms of doing all the UV mapping. So we will be actually focused on most of UV mapping inside of Maya. And most of them can be done. Okay, so what happened is the Maya on UV mapping tool used to be pretty bad, and there are actually a third-party plugin for Maya called a Nightshade. That was actually what happened was Autodesk, the maker of Maya, pretty much bought the whole plugin and actually integrate into Maya by default. Just made it into in-house software tools for all the UV mapping. So that's why there's a drastic improvement in terms of doing this process inside of Maya. Okay. Okay, that being said, so what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna go to set project. And I'm going to set the project for the actual project that I downloaded from the eCentennial, which is project UV intro. So that's the one. I'm going to set the project here. And then I'm going to go into file and then open scene. And what I'm going to open up is the UV intro exercise underline 001.mb. So that's the file that I'm going to open up. So if you're actually looking at the actual file that I just opened up, it actually the file actually contains three 3D mesh. First is Coca-Cola Geo is very simplified, cartoon stylized shape of the Coke can. If I hide that and bring this back, I'm gonna use this just a regular looking cube, which will be we're gonna be wrap around with the dice texture. And lastly is the I actually also include the simple human head, which we will be using it for doing our UV mapping. Okay. So before you actually go further into start working on the UV mapping, so I'm gonna go to workspace first, changing to UV editing. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna apply a textures on this surface and see how it looks. If you select the mesh now, this is what it actually looks like right now. This is just I just did a simple planar projections on this mesh to generate some type of UV map, which is not really done at all. So this is not an actual map. This is a map, but it's not actually reworked to actually work with our textures. So to see it better, to illustrate my point better, so let's just apply the textures. How to apply texture is very simple. Simply select the mesh like this. Right click on top of it, hold it, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there's something called assign new materials. Okay, let's click on that with let go of your right mouse button, and it's gonna open up a new window called assign new material window. Okay, I'm gonna apply. There are a bunch of shaders that's there. We will also talk about the what each shaders are doing, but for now it's not really important for this exercise. So we're not gonna talk about that. Go over that here. So I'm gonna simply select. Let's just select the Lambert, which is more of the default shader. Okay, I'm gonna click on Lambert. Nothing looks like it happened, but if you actually go to the attribute editor on your right, now it actually has a name called Lambert 2. So that's the new shader that's being applied to this object. Okay. So now we have the shader being applied to our object. I'm gonna now link our texture map to this shader. The way to do it is very simple. You simply go to on your right side, go to color. Okay. And if you go all the way to the right, there's a little checker button on the right corner, right end. Just click on that one. It's gonna open up the new window. It's asking for create random node. So this is where they're going to be adding the node that allow you to connect your texture map. We know that it's actual file texture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to click on this file. Okay. Click on it. Now it's gonna open up the new tab. Now it's asking which image name or which image file do you want to insert into the texture or insert into the mesh. Okay, so I'm gonna go to image name, click on this little folder icon. It's gonna give me since I already set the project, it's gonna right away open up the source image folder within project UV intro project folder. Okay, I'm gonna select Coca-Cola textures. Okay, simple texture map. I just grab it from the internet. I'm gonna use that for this lesson, and simply hit open. Looks like nothing happened, but you do see the texture map is now linked to this section here. So now we need to enable the texture viewing in our viewport. To do that, you can simply press 6 on the keyboard, or you can also click on this little checker spear right here. Okay, have that enabled. You should be able to see the texture view of your object. Okay. So let's click on this object here and see. So now your UV editor also giving you the preview of the how of this actually texture map that's being applied to our object, and then you can see that by looking at the UVs of our object, you can see that how the texture is being applied. So if I actually move that here, you can see that the texture is changing, right? You can just move it around. You can see that the how that texture is being done. You'll notice that this texture is actually confined within that this grid here. So this is a 1-to-1 ratio of your texture map space. If you actually zoom out, there's a lot of them. You can actually go like really high. You can apply this all the, it can be all the area for the texture map. However, for you guys, in most of the case, you will be actually working within that 1-to-1 ratio within the sections. Okay. There are also options that you can actually apply, adding different texture map onto here, and have multiple texture maps in different sections. That process is normally called a UDIM process. That is more for really high-end texture map when the object has to be really close up, for example. And for example, let's say you have these characters and then you're gonna have a shot of this 3D character has a really close up of the eyes. Because of the resolution of the textures, if you're actually using it's many times the texture is not going to be resolution of texture is not going to hold the detail when you have to really zoom in so much. So in order to avoid that type of situation, you can actually subdivide your texture map and then place it into each section. So make your you can fully use that all the resolution of the textures, and then contain the really high quality even if the character is really zoomed in. But that's more like advanced features, and you guys most likely will learn how to use that in second semester. So for now, let's just keep it simple and then put everything within 1-to-1 ratio, so that we can actually go about. Again, most of the texture map can be done this way anyway. So okay, so you can see now right away that the texture map is not really ideal because it's not really projecting properly, right? Obviously, in ideal world, your UV map, the side of your mesh needs to be projecting this texture map, right? And then the top side needs to be projecting this one, and then bottom side needs to be projecting this one, right? So in order to fix that or modify our UV map, we are going to using a UV toolkit tool to actually do that. So how can we find the UV toolkit? You can actually go into that one of the tab on the attribute editor to open it up. So it kind of looks similar to modeling tools, right? Which has all different tools that's available. You don't have to know everything, because I don't use that often, all of the tools anyway. You only need to know some of the core tools, and you should be more than enough to get by most of the UV mapping process. So I'm gonna start with there are usually multiple way of getting UV done, but for let's start with the more traditional method of UV mapping, which actually deals with projection method. Okay. So projection types: planar, cylindrical, spiral, automatic. Okay. There are 4 different types of projection types. Most common way of laying UVs without using unfold. This is unfold is another way of doing a UV mapping. I'm going to show you how to do that as well at the later part of this class. Although the auto unfold is leaving the object projection type behind, it's all still worthwhile to explore these. Still come in handy in many situations, because most of the UV mapping can be done by using a simple unfold process. It's largely ideal for a lot of complex object or organic object like a creatures or human head or anything organic models. It's ideal to use the unfold process to do it. However, it's also important for you to know how to use a projection type because it's kind of give you groundwork at the beginning in many cases when you're setting the projections or UV mapping first. Okay, so let's just start it out. So there are different types of them. I'm gonna use most of the time I'm gonna use planar mapping and then cylindrical mapping for most of the time. Also use the automatic as well. Okay. Now let's just start with the side. I mean, we need to have the side to be projected properly on the this section here, right? So we can actually use that. Grab, right click on top of the UV editor, change it to UV mode, so you can actually select the UVs, right? You can just select a bunch of the UVs like this, and push it down like this, and push it down. Okay, maybe just gonna push it out like this. And it's kind of getting close to it, but it's not really giving you the proper look that you want. The biggest reason for that is most of the time it's because there are some UVs that are overlapping with each other on top of each other, right? In order for in most of the time the UV map, one of the biggest important rule that you guys have to follow is there cannot be any UV map that UVs kind of overlapping with each other. In this case, you can see that if I push it down, you see there's some color shading happening. This kind of indicates that there's the UVs currently overlapping with each other, and this is most likely causing a lot of problems in terms of UV mapping. So you have to be like properly unfold and flatten out, so there's no the UVs kind of overlapping with each other. Okay, and the projection actually help you to quite a bit in terms of setting it up. So you can see that the side is kind of like a cylinder shape that go around it, in 360 degree. So what I'm gonna do here is look. I'm gonna go to face mode, and then I'm gonna select only this face on the side. Okay. So if I press 7, you see that this I only select the side only. Okay, side face. And then if I go to the UV toolkit, there is a number of different UV projections available. I'm gonna go with a cylindrical because it's something similar shape. So let's just click on it. Now, once you actually put it on it, you can see that your some kind of gizmo being created, and you have this new UV being created for this. You can actually move it to the side, to the side, and to see what's going on. And yeah, so if I actually press and click on the pictures, you can actually go select that UV like this. This is already projected now, so you can actually go in there and press R to scale it down like this, and just kind of line it up to your texture map. If you press 6 here, you'll notice that now your the textures are now properly projected. There's nothing that's gonna changing the and then also there's a texture that doesn't look stretched or distorted or anything like that, and properly wrapped around it, right? Now we don't have the top side and bottom, so let's just select this area here. You can just select that one by one. Okay, so I only select the top base there. Where are they located here? They are actually located here, and this looks like doesn't look like the actual thing, right? So what happened is when we create those cylindrical projections, the projection was coming from the side because we wanted to project that one. However, this top one and the bottom one it's not exactly facing the side. It's actually pointing, it's kind of up and on the bottom, right? So by projecting from the side, it doesn't actually really give you the proper texture layout or the UV layout that we want. So for something like this happens, you only just select that particular face that you want to be reprojecting, okay, like that. So just I select only the top part of the polygon, and then I'm gonna do the planar projection. The planar projection is right here. So the planar projection is the most basic projection type. It's pretty much projecting from the one direction only, right? So if you actually go and shift and then left mouse button, click on it, it's gonna open up the option window for your planar mapping options. And as you can see, it has the option projected from X, Y, or Z, right? So pretty much saying that if it's projecting from the X, which means if you look at the corner where the outer world space, it is projecting from the left or right, okay? If you set as Y, it will be projecting from the top to the bottom or bottom to the up, okay? If you set as project from the Z axis, it's gonna projecting from the front, okay, or the back. You can see that how that is axis is actually working by looking at the actual world orientation axis gizmo on the left bottom corner of your viewport. In our case, you can actually set that up manually, and it's completely fine. But let me reset this first. And then, however, I'm going to use it with a fit projection to best plane. So this will allow the Maya to actually look at the mesh, and maybe Maya will do its best to trying to guess the proper projection, the axis for this. Okay, so I'm going to set that up best plane. And another thing is I want to keep that image width and height ratio on. Okay, and simply apply and see what happens. Now, since our projection is applied from the top, it's now giving you this gizmo. You can actually use this one almost like a move or rotate or scale tool. So you can actually move that, make it bigger, right? If you actually move that, you can see that the shape is changing on the UV editor. You can also click on this one to make it bigger if you want, or make it smaller. So think of it as just some type of projection window that's kind of projecting on top of it, pretty much. Okay. Now, so we essentially made a new projection on it, right? And then this one is kind of right now. If I press shift here, now it's kind of projecting on there, but it's kind of covering the whole UV space that we have. So we need to actually make it smaller and fit into this texture here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into right UV, right mouse button, and go to UV set mode. And if you double click on this and one of the vertex or UVs on this top part of the cylinder, it's gonna select the whole chunk of it within that group node. You can press W and move it. Press R and just scale it down. And just kind of zooming into it. And just kind of do your best to kind of match it up to the texture. Like this. Now, if you're actually looking at from the top there, you notice that the texture is properly applied to the top part of the polygonal cylinder shape. I'm going to do the exactly same thing for the bottom. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to the bottom, go into face mode. I'm going to have to identify which sections or part of the mesh that I want to create a new projection on. Like this. So I have selected all three on the all of the polygon mesh on the bottom. And I'm going to do the planar. Once again, just click on it. Make sure you are best plane and apply. Now it's just creating the new one right here, and then you can see that the new gizmo being populated. From here, you can simply move it, right? You just move it down there, and press R, and just kind of scale it down. to fit it into your texture map. Okay. Once you're happy with it, just simply click on any of the empty void area, and you get that Coca-Cola can. That's very simple, very cartoony looking can, but you can see that how the texture map, being applied to here. So one of the things that I would really want to do, share with you guys is, you'll notice that if you're actually looking at the UV map and the 3D viewport here, you'll notice that this very strong white border, thick lines around the certain part of the mesh, most notably on here, also on the one of the side here, right? You guys can see it better. This, right, the white line, also on the bottom that goes around it. And it clearly represented here on the UV map here. So essentially this mesh, even though it's one single mesh, now contains 3 different group of UVs sitting inside. And this each section or each chunk of a UV map or UV sections, we call that a UV shell. Okay, so essentially this is one UV shell, okay, and this is another UV shell, and this is another UV shell. It's all separate. Okay, and this borderline is pretty much the cutout area of your texture gonna stop. We also call that a seamed or the texture border. Okay, you'll get to see more of that, but as the model gets more and more complicating, it does lead to more number of the UV shells need to be created for the best way of UV mapping. However, the best rules in terms of as for your task is to try to minimize the number of the polygonal UV shells. It is okay to have some of them like this, but it is generally recommended to try to have too many UV shells, because what happens is wherever it's being cut off, the texture will gonna be stopped. Okay, so in most of cases, if you're actually looking at that from the texture map, so the border is, and that's, as you can see, the texture is getting cut off here, right? So this kind of pretty much indicating that there's a seam. You'll notice that there's another seam here, right? Because that's where the texture is being cut out. I mean, the UV map is being cut out on the one of the side in the end, right? Right here. So you see it right here. So unless you make some type of procedural texture that you can actually repeat it over and over, you will most likely see this type of themes. So the best practice in many cases is try to avoid the themes. I mean, even if you need to have some type of themes on the texture, it's best that you place that themes where there is like a least visible or least prominent area of your 3D models. Okay. So that's kind of a quick way to setting up the Coca-Cola can here for the texturing. So let me quickly hide this one and bring back the other example here. It's called the dice geo. So this is a simple cube. So let's just go to Maya and the UV editing one more time and see what is there. So if you click on the mesh, you'll notice that you see the UV map that's currently existing inside of this mesh. So we're going to do exactly the same thing by applying the textures and see how that's going to project in the textures properly. So I'm going to go into right click on top of the mesh after you're selecting it. Go to new material. And I'm going to make another new material. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for blend, something a little different. But it's generally process is the same. No, it doesn't matter which shader you selected to apply. So the blend 3 is the one that's being added to the cube. same thing. You simply go to in the attribute editor, simply go to the color, click on this checker button, and click on file, image name, right? Yeah, asking you where can they Maya can find the image texture map. So I'm gonna go click on this folder. If you set your project properly, you should be able to take you right into the source image folder. So I'm gonna click on dice texture, okay, and simply open it. So now, so this is what you see on your texture map. And if you select that, it actually clearly reflected on by looking at the UV map. So if you're actually looking at the here, for example, this one, this top area, this very section is actually equal to the top area of the surface, and see that how the texture is being projected here, right? It's exactly the same like this. Even that this actually it's cutting out on the right side and actually showing up on here, right? Okay, so what we are going to do here is we're going to move around. We're going to make each section, each polygonal face into a separate shell, and then just going to move it around and attach and place that texture map properly on the proper area of the dice. Okay, so I'm going to select this one and just change it to a UV editing now, and go to UV toolkit. So I'm going to start with this side here on the top front, so right here. I'm gonna go to a planner. If you press hold the shift key and then click on the left mouse button, gonna open up the option window for projection. I'm gonna set the best plane again because it's fairly straightforward face, flat face that I exactly know. I don't think I'm gonna have any problem finding out which is the best direction for the projection. So I'm gonna set that as best plane and then simply apply. So now that very one face, polygonal face that we selected and projected on it, it's going to create a projection on a 1:1 aspect ratio and place it right on there. So if I actually select that on the corner here, right? So if I actually move that down here, you'll see that it just starts moving it. And I'm going to move on to the top one and do the exactly same planar projections. And just simply move that to the side. I'll move down to the one on the right. Do another projection. And just move that to the side. Select that face here. Okay, with the same planar projections on it. And move that to the side. This one. Planar, once again. And move that to the other side. Select this one and planar. That's the on the bottom, right? I'm gonna just move it to the side like this. So it's just I made into this cube into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different polygonal UV shell that I can actually readjusting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go to UV map, UV mode, right click on it, and I'm just gonna drag and select all the UVs. Press W. And I'm just gonna push it down there, and I'm gonna, while everything is being selected, I'm gonna just kind of resize it. I want to avoid all the UV to have exactly same size. So, and I'm just gonna pick one of the sections that I want to use it. So I'm going to have this polygonal face or UV shell to be projected right on top of 6. And just gonna place it down there. So you notice as I actually resizing and place this very polygonal face, kind of match up to my texture map, it's actually showing up properly on the one side, one of the polygonal face right here. So this is the right one right here. You see that being highlighted. Also show that on the editor. Since we got that, I can just kind of move on to the front one right here. And I can just move it and just kind of place it right here. Like that. Okay. Now usually the front side and the back side already have the sum of 7 for any types of dice, so you'll notice that right away. So if this is 6, the opposite direction of that should be 1 dot for the dice. So I'm just gonna simply move that to this one, to the top one right here. So you can see that the 1 is being added. And which other one? That's 5 here. So that since it's 5, the opposite direction should be 2 on this side. So I'm gonna use this one and place it on the 2 right here. Okay. And then the top and bottom is only 2 things that's left. So I'm gonna just select that and just gonna place it on random place. 4 and 3. So you can see that by adjusting repositioning it, the UV layout, you can see that you get the textures being rearranged. UV is being rearranged, and then you can actually see that the texture map is more properly attached to our object. Okay. Any questions so far? Anybody have any questions so far? Is it clear enough for you guys? Mm-hmm. So when you're selecting that, so UV editor is here, right? So if you want to see which one that you don't see, we don't see the colors, you can simply the the texture map that you see can be on and off here, okay? And then you can turn on the texture map checker button if you want to see the checker view, okay? And then you can, if you don't see a texture border, you can on and off this one too, okay? So all the settings are available on the top icon on here, okay? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna hide this one, and let's just bring in one more example to share with you guys, which is the human head geo. I'm gonna shift H to bring back the visibility of it. Okay. I'm gonna hide the grid quickly, so it's kind of on the way. Okay, so this is head, and if you select that head here, it's gonna. I quickly did some planar projection on it, so it just seems to be reasonable, right? However, this is not really ideal UV map to begin with. So how do we check it? So let's just take a look at that. Probably the quickest way to check whether your UV is problematic or not is please just click on the checker button to see it. So if you're actually looking at from the checker button right here, you'll notice that it looks fine from the side view, right? It actually has a nice dense the texture tessellation is pretty good. However, if you actually start to rotating to the front, you will notice that there's a lot of texture grid starting to stretching, right? Especially here, right? It looks fine, or more dense, properly. Everything has a proper square shape. But as you kind of move it to the front, it's kind of stretching it out because it's actually we are actually projecting from the side, and there's a lot of information on the front side from part of the face, but it's not actually properly projected. That's why you see a lot of issues on here. Okay, so we need to rework that the head textures. The one way to kind of do it quickly is just simply select the face and just identify the area that you want to cut into the help. So I want to focus on, so what I want to do is, instead of have this head projecting from the side, gonna give you this look. I want to have two projections. I want to have a projection from the front, and I also want to have projection from the back. So you get to have the proper direction or proper detail on the front side for the front side of the face, also the back side as well. And by using the we're gonna start using unfold features to give you the best looking the UVs. So let's just start it this way. So I'm gonna go to the right orthographic view from here, and then go to right, go to face mode. I'm gonna identify the face that I want to cut out to. So for example, like this. Okay. So I just select that this one. If you look at it from the perspective view, that's what I have, like this. And then I'm gonna go to planner one more time. Shift planner. I want to project it from the back, right, or the front, which means I can project it from the z-axis. So instead of using path plane, I'm gonna change it to bounding box, and then projecting from the z-axis like this. I want to keep that image aspect, image width and height ratio exactly same, which means when you do the UV mapping or projection, the Maya will do its best to retain the proportion of the mesh that you have. It will give you the better, more easier time to work with the textures, especially if you are making a new texture from the scratch. This is going to help you quite a bit. So set that up like this and simply apply. Now, so we have this new projection being done from the back. So I can just simply move it up to the pre on the side. So this is the projection that we created from the back. And I'm gonna go back to the face mode. You can do it from the as well, from the UV editor view. I'm gonna drag and select all the face from the other half, the front side of the face, and I'm gonna do the exactly same projection. I'm gonna do another projection from the front, so either back. So it's going to be z-axis. So simply apply. Right now, so now we have the projection like this. They're kind of similar in a way to actual the viewport of the if you look at from the front side. If you turn on the check button, you'll notice that the let me turn off the wireframe. You'll notice that a lot of dense stretch that we used to have is kind of gone, right, from the front side. However, the side is now seems to have a bit of issues that we're seeing it. So we need to actually do some more work to kind of ease that stretching that we have. So the best way to go about it is simply using unfold tool. Have Maya to properly unfold and redistribute that map more evenly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into UV mode and double click to select that very specific UV shell. Okay, and then click on unfold. But before I actually do it, let's just check the option window. So I'm going to shift left mouse button to turn on, bring back the my UV unfold. I'm going to reset it. I'm going to pretty much keep everything same. I can increase the iteration to a little higher. So what it does is the Maya will, instead of, if you set it as 1, Maya will just calculate once, and then just give you the whatever the calculated result of your the unfold operation. If you increase that to something to 3 or 4, Maya will go through that processing process like 4 times. If I set it as 4, so it'll give you a try out over and over and over and until Maya will give you the best looking unfold result from here. Obviously, if you increase the iteration, it will give you a better result, but at the cost of taking longer to calculate, because you have to calculate over and over, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna set that up like 2 or 3, doesn't matter. It's a simple enough mesh. I don't want to go too many iteration to generate the unfold look. So what do you have? I'm gonna keep that same and simply apply and see what happens. Now it gives you a slightly different looking shape, and you kind of tilt it too. And now if you're looking at that backside, however, you'll notice that a lot of the stretch that we used to have on the top and the side area is now almost gone completely, right? Now we're gonna do the exact same thing on the front side of the head. So I'm gonna select that UV, double click, it's gonna select the whole shell right away. And I'm gonna do the same, exactly same unfold operation. Now also giving you a slightly different looking UV map as well. It feels more spread out, right? And you can see that by looking at the topology or by looking at the checker buttons. You can see that everything is kind of evenly distributed now. With there are some stretching if you really zoom into it. You can see that, but mostly this is because of the low poly of the mesh. But you can see that the most of the issue that we used to have is completely gone now. Okay. However, how we're setting up here is not yet done. Obviously, I would much prefer this thing to be more properly oriented rather than it's kind of tilted, right? So it's going to be not really ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of UV and UV shell to select all the UV shell. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll down on my UV toolkit. And there's something called the orient shell. And let's see whether this is going to help you or anyway. It's kind of giving you the look that's kind of slightly rotated to the counterclockwise and by 90 degree. It's not that bad, but it's not really right direction or orientation that I want. So I'm gonna go back and undo it. The best way to go about it is I can use the orient to the edge. I know this edge, if you select on it, this is one of the horizontal edge. So I'm gonna select this one of the edge, kind of horizontal. Then see whether it's gonna help me to orient that properly. Orient to the edge. Now you can see that it's kind of getting there. Let me do that. Orient to share again. Yeah. So now if I click on one more time, now it's kind of giving you the more proper orientation of it. Same thing with this one. I'm gonna orient the shell. Yeah, it kind of tilted, kind of rearrange that. Sometimes it's okay to kind of manually adjust that. So if you the Maya's default tool does not give you the good look. So now we got the two shells properly placed. Now I want to actually place that in the 1-to-1 ratio, as we talked about it. All of the texture maps should go into that one single section. Okay, so you can actually drag it or just kind of scale it down like this and have that fit into that section. And you can leave it at that. You can see that everything seems to be fine. Or let me undo this. You can also have the Maya to automate that process for you. You can just simply all of the shift to select all the vertex that you have, and go to the if you scroll down onto the very bottom of UV toolkit, there's a menu tool called a layout. So let's just shift left mouse button to open up the option window. Okay, I'm gonna reset the tool. I'm gonna use the method as unfold 3D. Legacy is not really giving you the good look anymore. It's kind of older, much kind of obsolete algorithm. It's using it to create the layout. So let's just stick with the unfold 3D for the more newer algorithm. And then packing resolution is also deals with the quality of the UV layout. So I'm gonna just increase it to 1024. Something just a little higher number should be okay. I'm gonna leave that everything as it is. The layout setting, texture map size, you can already change that too. So I'm gonna just set that on as the 2048. Doesn't really matter. If I'm going to set as 102048 as the map size. And then there's an important part here, shell padding and tile padding. So what it does is if you actually give a bit of some numbers like 5 and 5, okay, And let's see what happens, okay? And then just kind of apply. Now the Maya just kind of rearrange the position of the UV map and kind of giving you the look like this. So what it does is the layout is just kind of Maya will grab every UV shell that you selected and try to squeeze it into that 1-to-1 ratio, okay, without distorting or altering the shape of the UV map that you already have, okay. And this on this shell padding is pretty much giving you the indication that I just want to make sure that whenever there's a multiple UV shell, there's always gap distance between these two, right? In that case, there's no overlapping of textures taking place. Tile padding, the second one, is also the one area that you can actually do that here. Kind of calculate that, how much gap between to the end of your tile and to the shell. Okay, and from here you can just kind of, maybe just kind of move it up a little. And just kind of, you can just put it on the side by like this. If you want to maximize the space even more, like this. And I can just kind of make it slightly bigger than what the Maya initially gave me. This will be maximizing the size of textures. And if you're actually looking at that here, you'll notice that the most of the distortion that we used to have is completely gone. So you can actually freely start to texturing it from send it up to the Substance Painter or any other place to actually to do all the texturing work from here.